All right. Let me find. I'm working with one screen today, so bear with me. All right. Good evening and welcome to the February 19th meeting of the City of Norwalk's Zoning Board of Appeals. For the record, we currently meet virtually on the Zoom platform rather than in person. Let's take a moment to review how the meeting should be conducted this evening. For the first 2 hours, we'll hold the public hearing for each application on tonight's agenda. Applicants and other participants have received notice, and other notices of hearings were printed in the Norwalk Hour and posted at the subject property. After roll call, each application will be announced by the chair and then read into the record by the secretary. The applicant or a representative will state his or her name for the record and then present the appeal or code relief sought. Please present those zoning issues relevant to the practical difficulty or hardship that gave rise to the application. After your representative has spoken, those public participants in favor will have the chance to be heard. Following that, those public participants against the application will have an opportunity to state their opposition. Note, in the case of an appeal at this time, the zoning staff will have the opportunity to present their findings. After those against the application have spoken, the applicant and only the applicant will have the opportunity to rebut and respond to any issues that may have been raised. The chair will either close the hearing or, if appropriate, grant a continuance. The next application will be called. New applications will not normally be heard after 9 p.m. as the board must discuss and act upon these applications. No further participant or public input is accepted at that time. However, the participants and the public are welcome to stay for this portion of tonight's meeting. Should you decide to leave the meeting, you may contact the zoning office tomorrow or learn about our decision or access the meeting video, which will be uploaded on the city's YouTube channel. Finally, before we proceed, I must remind you that this meeting, including each hearing, is a recorded video conference and will become a matter of permanent public record. All participants and public comments must state their name and address. Comments must be on topic. Please note that anyone using threatening, hateful, or sexually explicit language will be cut off and removed from the meeting and will not be allowed to rejoin. All right. So let me see. Let's do roll call. Who do we have tonight? So
Ferguson's present.
Steve Ferguson, Anthony Samari,
Yeah.
where else? Ben Handpeter.
Yep.
And Keith Lyon, and myself, Danielle Sanchik, will be hearing all applications. Tammy, we need to appoint a secretary since Lee is
Yes.
out.
Yeah. You need to draft somebody.
Any volunteers?
I can do it.
All right. Thanks, Ben. Then let me pull up the agenda. Okay, so the first item is 26-0219-01. Perk and Angela Hoagman, variance to allow parking in the front setback for the proposed conversion of existing two-car garage into at-grade entryway and living space at single-family residence. Property located at 3 McIntosh Road, District 5, Block 1, Lot 212. Go for it, Ben.
Okay. Oh, you took the first part. I'll do the rest. Request. Applicant seeks this variance to allow parking within the front setback as a request for reasonable accommodation under the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA. Background. This single-family home was constructed in 1963. Zoning and building permits were issued in 2013 for a rear deck and expansion of bedroom with closets, including renovating the existing kitchen. Analysis and findings. The home is raised ranch style with an entry landing immediately leading upstairs and downstairs. The front entry door is at the top of an exterior stone staircase, while the driveway is many feet below the front door. The current proposal for renovation and addition includes conversion of the front-facing integral two-car garage into an at-grade entryway and additional living space. The applicant will need a variance to allow parking within the front setback to allow conversion of the garage, which currently provides the parking requirement. While state statute is very specific that variances are not to be granted for personal hardships, the federal ADA law provides an exception to this rule. This exception has been referred or referenced in various land use training materials, including the ZBA training conducted by Corporation Counsel. In this case, the accommodation seems both necessary and reasonable so that the property owner has both access and living space at ground level in his home.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Do we have someone representing the applicant or the applicant that wants to present the case?
Do I speak now? Kirk Ogerman, 3
Yep.
McIntosh Road. Yeah, I'd like to convert my 2-car garage into living space because I have multiple sclerosis and I'm not getting better, and stairs are problematic for me. And I have a little hard time walking, and I'm just trying to be proactive before I get worse. I mean, I'm trying to be positive, but before I get worse, I don't want to be confined to just my living room, in the raised ranch. So I would like to convert the 2-car garage into more space for me to live. If I ultimately get worse health wise. So I'm trying to be proactive to give myself more living space and not be confined to the one area of the house, so to speak. So that's why I'm requesting to be able to convert the 2-car garage into living space.
So I can share plans if the board wants to see either the survey or the architectural plans.
Sure. Yeah, that's helpful. Tammy, why don't you go ahead and do that?
You want to
I
start
think
with
we
the
can
survey?
start with the survey.
Okay.
And if the board has questions as we kind of look through these, I think, let's just ask them out.
Give me just a second, sorry.
No problem. And this property, Tammy, has the two parking spaces is the requirement.
Correct. Yeah.
And they would both need to be parked in the driveway, which is within the front setback.
Correct. Yeah. So let me see if I've got this now. I think I've got too many windows open. Give me 1 second. Okay. Are we seeing the survey?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Tammy, if I'm correct, that little arc that's within the front setback is where the cars would be parked, and then I guess they would just I just don't know how much right over there.
Yeah.
Um, how large is that to the house?
So I think when the memo I think says it equates to even at the closest point, so he needs an additional, I think it was 9 feet.
And the width
of
the width of that drive is like you'd get 2 cars
side
by side.
It's yeah. So
Yeah.
he needs 30. It's approximately 22. So it's less than 8 feet. Essentially from the sort of the narrowest point here where the cursor is. Yeah. So
Okay.
And there was an architect that did the drawings, right?
yes. Yeah. Let me bring up those.
Okay. Because there's also a back addition, right, that's going on to this house.
Correct. Yeah. Are you seeing the architecturals now?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the first page is not
Let me
the
hang
most
on.
helpful.
Let me see if I can close.
I think it's just the next sheet or 2. So that's the demo plan.
Yeah. So Yeah, so here's where the garage bays exist now. And then this is the proposed elevation. So it would have this entry door here, and then beyond that, it would be living space. Do you want to see the floor plan?
Yeah, we can scroll up to the floor plan.
Okay, is that large enough? I can increase it.
Well, this is the reflected ceiling plan, actually, so
Yeah.
we can.
Clearly, I need to enlarge it for my own benefit. All right, give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. Here is the, let me make it larger. So this is the addition you were referencing here. And then this area here was would formerly be the garage, which would then now be the at-grade entry here. And then this would just be additional living space that would link up with the other existing space.
Yeah. So is there any that just says new enclosed space, existing rec space, den. Is there anything more specific planned for these spaces?
As far as just living space, I'm just trying to convert it now because I don't know what my needs are going to be in the future. And I'm just trying to be proactive because be able to go in through, I'm not trying to jinx myself, but if I ever become, wheelchair, then the downstairs is pretty much primarily going to be my living space. So I'm trying to be proactive, because I still work full time. So I'm trying to do it now, before, hopefully nothing, but that anything happens to me health wise. So right now, exactly what's going to happen in that living space, we're not 100% sure. It's just to be able to get in through the old garage on ground level. And if I need to, be down there, I want to be able to have that option.
Right. So like adding a kitchen or something on this level.
I'm that I doubt. Maybe a kitchenette, like a little sink. I'm not, I'm just trying to get the space done so then I can decide what's best for me and what best fits me for whatever condition I am at the time.
Okay. I mean, I'm wondering if you had considered actually adding the additional space. You're building a whole new den, like enlarging that area in order to get the additional space such that you didn't need to ask for a variance with the parking spaces.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding.
Enlarging the addition at the rear rather
Right.
than taking over the garage space.
Because of this, the space in the rear would be a bedroom if I'm confined to downstairs. So I just want more living space available to me. And the garages, quite honestly, we don't use. So that was like our first, suggestion by the architect to convert those. And then when I spoke about my health issues and stuff, and he was just like, well, it sounds good. You're trying to be proactive. So he came up with some ideas, the architect, and they sounded good. So I'm like, you know what? Again, to sound like a broken record, to be proactive.
Sure. And Tammy, was that discussed with planning and zoning at all? I mean, that seems like something you guys normally would recommend right away.
Yep. So, I mean, the ADA coordinator felt that it was a reasonable accommodation, and I
Okay.
believe he reviewed the plans. I sent him the link to the plans.
Gotcha.
Danielle, I apologize. Are you suggesting that there's access from the rear that he could
Well,
use
no,
instead
just
of?
increased living space added at the rear rather
Mhm.
than taking the garage space to not require a variance.
I think the concern more is the stairs.
Well, but yes, but it doesn't, it's the same right now. Like there's no kitchen down here right now, right? Like, so you would, if you want to use a
Agreed.
kitchen, you still have to take the stairs.
Agreed.
So I just want to be clear, the ADA recommended and they acknowledged this format for downstairs, or was just a link that they just saw, didn't acknowledge any comments on that link that you sent them, Tammy?
I can't speak to, I mean, I believe he reviewed the plans. He didn't say, oh, yes, I took a look at it. No, I can't, that wouldn't be accurate to say, but my understanding is I believe he looked at the plans. So,
Plans that we're looking at don't really show too much in the way of detail on that first floor. If there was something in the future, right, like adding a kitchenette, something to that effect, I imagine the applicant would have to go back to the city to get permits if there was any like major work done after what's shown in these plans right here. Is that right, Tammy?
yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, and right
Yeah.
now it's just a proposed open finished living space. I mean,
Yeah.
for where the garage currently is, but yeah, it would be all under what you see now would just be all that would be authorized for the scope of the work.
And just
Yeah.
for my curiosity, as it may be relevant later, can you add another second kitchen?
You cannot. At this
Highly
time,
pertinent.
so
Yeah.
you can do a potentially down the road a wet bar, and again, yeah, that's referenced in the upcoming item. I do think that will be approved by the commission in some form. They may even increase the parameters for the allowed dimensions for the cabinetry, counters and cabinetry.
So Tammy, how does it work? How does it work with ADU?
So, I mean, if they proposed an ADU, that yeah, he could potentially do that. He would, yeah, that's an option too. But then when you add an ADU,
Because based on the square footage, that's under 800 attached. So I thought that maybe it'd be a different process.
Yeah, maybe down the road, that's something he wants to do. But yeah, that's not his proposal now. But that could be, the ADU could potentially be as of right, as long he would just need to, if you got a variance for the parking, then he would just need to pick up one additional parking space for the ADU. But that may be changing down the road as well.
Is that the best avenue as of now?
I don't think he wants an ADU. That's probably going to increase the construction standards to make a separate dwelling unit within there. So I don't think that's his goal. I think right now, he wants to be incorporated with his family home. So,
but should he actually want to be on a single level with a kitchen, ADU would be the path. But is there
potentially
room?
That wet bar? Yeah.
Is there room in the drive to park 3 cars?
Yes.
Another variance.
No. But
We have
I
to come
don't
back to
think.
that.
Yeah, I don't think he really wants an ADU, and I think he could potentially do this wet bar down the road that he would maybe accommodate his needs. So,
Sure.
And if it would be beyond that, then he would need to come back to you guys for an additional accommodation under ADA, potentially.
No
Okay.
other
I think
questions
that's all
from me.
my questions. Anybody else?
No, I'm clear.
Okay. I
Just to
believe
be clear, Danielle, to be clear, can we explain to the applicant what ADU means? Just make sure he understands what it means. Is that okay, Tammy? Is that appropriate now or no?
Well, I don't think it should impact
This
your decision
application.
about
Okay.
the accommodation. But yeah, he could, if you want to talk about what an ADU is, that's fine.
No need. I'm just asking if
Okay.
if the applicant had the options when he went to staff. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we had one letter for this application. Ben, do you want to go ahead and read that? Oh.
Did we lose Ben?
Or is he muted?
He's muted. You're muted, Ben.
Wow, that's humiliating. Thanks, guys. Okay. The letter we're talking about is the one from Bill, the ADA
Yes.
coordinator, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Should I just read that verbatim? Happy to do that. It's not that long.
Yeah.
All right. As the certified ADA coordinator for the city of Norwalk, Mr. Hoagman was referred to me by the mayor's office. Mr. Hoagman explained to me that he has progressive multiple sclerosis, and he was applying for permits to convert the attached garage of his home at 3 McIntosh Road into a living space to allow him accessible use of the ground floor of his home. He received a denial of his permit request and was advised that his only recourse was to appeal his request with the ZBA. The Americans with Disabilities Act, as well as the Fair Housing Act, mandate that municipalities provide reasonable accommodations pursuant to the ADA/FHA to provide people with disabilities equal access to their homes. Mr. Hoagman has provided medical documentation of his disability. In this case, I support Mr. Hoagman's request of a zoning variance as a reasonable accommodation as defined in the FHA/ADA. Thank you, Bill Hontuk.
Okay. Thanks, Ben.
Yep.
At this point, we can open it up to the public. If there's anyone that wants to speak in favor of this application, please raise your hand.
Okay. I'm not going to talk about the call-ins because we don't have call-ins. We just have people through regular computer access. So
Okay, good.
no one has raised their hand.
All right. And we'll offer an opportunity for anyone that wants to speak against the application to raise their hand now.
No raised hands.
Okay. With that, I think thank you for your time, Mr. Hoagman, and we'll move on to the next item on our agenda.
Thank you.
All right. Item 26-0219-02, David and Ashley Gold. Ben, you want to take it away?
Sure. Variance of Article 9, definition of dwelling unit to allow a proposed second kitchenette on the first floor, in addition to existing primary kitchen on the second floor at an existing single-family residence in the CD1L zone. Property located at 7 Shorehaven Road, District 3, Block 78, Lot 39. Request. Applicant seeks variance to allow a proposed kitchenette/second kitchen. Background. This single-family home was constructed in 2001. The application narrative indicates that the kitchen was installed on the second floor to optimize the view of the marsh. In 2004, a two-story addition was constructed. In 2024, both zoning and building permits were issued for interior renovations. Those permits remain open. Analysis and findings. Staff is proposing several amendments to the zoning regulations, including adding a definition for wet bar that should be decided upon by the commission in March or April. That definition is included here for reference. Wet bar, an area distinct from the kitchen used for entertaining purposes, provided that the counter area does not exceed 8 feet in length. Any sink does not exceed 1 square foot. There are no cooking facilities. The only appliance is a small under-counter mini fridge. However, in this case, the scope of the proposed kitchenette is greater than the potential amendments the wet bar would allow. The application's narrative states that the practical difficulty or hardship is the legacy layout, further stating the hardship is not self-created but stems from the unusual placement of the original kitchen. Both statute and zoning regulations are clear that a zoning hardship is specific to peculiar and unique features of the property, such as narrowness or shape of property or topographic conditions, rather than building layout and design. The original design decision of the architect and builder of the home created the condition by choice. As such, staff does not agree that the situation meets the hardship requirement necessary to grant variance.
Thanks, Ben. Do we have the applicant or someone representing the applicant that wants to present the case?
I'm David Gold. Our designer Sarah's on, but I'll be doing the talking. Nice to meet everybody. So we've got it written out because otherwise I'd be stumbling. So bear with me. If you need to cut me off, just cut me off.
And if you have visuals you want to share, you can share your screen or you can ask Tammy to do it.
There are just two times when I'll share my screen briefly, and then afterwards we can kind of go into the plans as well.
Okay, great.
All right. So hello, my name is David Gold, and I'm here with my wife, Ashley. We live at 7 Shorehaven Road in Norwalk and are here to discuss our request for a variance to add a small kitchenette to the first floor of our home. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you, and out of respect for your time, as I mentioned, I wrote down my presentation to try to keep this as efficient as possible. So I am going to share just the first thing here. Okay, this is just some code language that I'm going to be referring to. To start, we don't think a variance should be required in the first instance. The new Norwalk Code defines dwelling unit as any room or group of rooms designed or used exclusively as residential quarters for one family, which includes sleeping, kitchen, eating, and sanitation facilities. The Norwalk zoning enforcement officers have interpreted this language to limit dwelling unit to a single kitchen, but based on a plain text of this language, plain text read of this language, we think it's clear that the word facilities modifies each of sleeping, kitchen, eating, and sanitation. For example, it wouldn't make sense if the definition was simply residential quarters for one family, which includes sleeping. It only makes grammatical sense if we read in the intended qualifier such that it says sleeping facilities. Similarly, it wouldn't make sense if the definition was simply which includes kitchen. To be grammatically correct, it would need to say a kitchen or one kitchen, which again is evidence that facilities modifies the word kitchen, such that it should be read as residential quarters for one family, which includes kitchen facilities. It should be noted that the prior version of the code included a specific reference to one kitchen in the definition of dwelling single family, which was defined as a dwelling having only one dwelling unit with one kitchen. That shows that the legislators knew how to be very clear about a one kitchen requirement, but chose to move away from that language in the current iteration of the code. Now, rather than focus on the number of sleeping, kitchen, eating, and sanitation facilities, the regulations rightly focus on what truly matters, the actual use of the property. And so focuses the definition on any room or group of rooms designed or used exclusively as residential quarters for one family. As I'll discuss more in this presentation, our home is and will continue to be a single family residence. So in the first instance, we think that our plans comply with both the spirit and the letter of the current zoning requirements in our residential zone. Okay, I could take this off. Okay, so, even if we were to assume the staff's interpretation of the definition of dwelling unit, we believe a variance is appropriate in our case. The code recognizes that there are situations where the strict application of a rule can result in unintended consequences. And so section 8.3.3c of the code gives this board the broad authority to grant variances in cases where there are practical difficulties or unnecessary hardships, as long as the variance is in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the regulations and does not adversely affect public health, safety, or welfare. Presumably due to the unique nature of our property relative to the salt marsh, when our home was built over 2 decades ago, it was constructed with the kitchen located on the second floor. We moved into the home in 2023, and now having lived in it for the past 2+ years, have discovered that having a kitchen on the second floor creates real, ongoing practical difficulties for our family. Beyond the constant need to carry heavy groceries, trash, and recycling up and down the stairs, which in and of itself is a considerable burden, our home's dining room is on the first floor, so we are regularly faced with safety concerns that arise due to the need to carry dishes and hot food and liquids up and down the stairs. Furthermore, a single-family home with its sole kitchen on the second floor is inherently at odds with modern safety and accessibility standards, restricting the use of the property for those with mobility issues, a hardship that would be exacerbated by a subsequent regulation that prevents the first floor remedy we're proposing in our current case. Ultimately, what should be simple everyday routines have become an ever-present source of stress and inconvenience for us, introducing real safety concerns and practical difficulties. With 2 young children, such difficulties finally forced us to find a solution, which is why we are here with you today. We understand and respect the purpose of the zoning code, which is to preserve the single-family nature of our neighborhood and prevent the creation of illegal apartments and multi-dwelling units. We fully support the public policy underpinning the code. and are committed to maintaining our home as a single-family residence. To that end, we want to assure the board that we are not seeking to change the character of our home or our neighborhood, but are simply trying to make our home more functional and safe for our family. We were adamant when preparing our design that we ensured not to impact the footprint of our house or otherwise make any changes to the occupancy, density, or character of the neighborhood. Our plans do not contemplate any external changes to the property that affect our neighbors or the public, and certainly nothing that would impact public health, safety, or welfare. In fact, several of our neighbors, including our immediate neighbors on each side of our house and across the street, have all submitted statements to this board in support of our project and recognize that it will maintain the character of our neighborhood. Importantly, we're not requesting a variance to use our home in a manner inconsistent with the single-family use. We are not proposing to add an accessory dwelling unit, nor will there be a need for a separate entrance, mailbox, utility meters, etc. Our house will continue to function exclusively as a home for our family's use. Therefore, there should be no legitimate use-based zoning issues resulting from our proposed plans, as the house is and will continue to be a single-family home. To address the staff's objection on the basis that practical difficulties are self-created, first, when the home was built in the year 2000, the definition of dwelling single-family at that time did not include a reference to kitchen at all. That addition was made pursuant to an amendment to the code on January 26, 2007. In other words, at the time of construction, the property enjoyed a broader set of rights that included the flexibility to add amenities like a kitchenette without reclassifying the home's use. And the hardship was created by a subsequent narrowing of the definition of single-family dwelling. The hardship in this matter is not self-created because it flows directly from a regulatory redefinition of a single-family dwelling. As established in the seminal 2001 Connecticut case on point, Stankuna versus Zoning Board of Appeals, a hardship is not self-created when it results from the enactment or amendment of a zoning ordinance. At the time of construction, the property enjoyed the right to internal configuration without an express cap on kitchen facilities. The current hardship, the inability to place a kitchen on the primary floor while maintaining the existing structure, is an exogenous result of the updated Norwalk zoning regulations, or at least the ones that were predecessors to the current one in our view, not a voluntary act of the property owner. Furthermore, Connecticut law is clear that a subsequent purchaser like us stands in the shoes of the prior owner for purposes of seeking a variance such that we are not prejudiced by virtue of the fact that we did not own the home at the time it was constructed or when the code was amended. Quoting the landmark Connecticut Supreme Court case, Johnny Cake versus Zoning Board of Appeals, the right to a variance is not personal to the owner, but runs with the land. It is not a personal privilege or a right, and it is not affected by a change of ownership. To some, the zoning code is meant to protect the community, but it also gives you, the board members, the flexibility to help residents like us when the rules create unintended challenges. We're simply asking for your understanding and support so that our family can enjoy our home in a safe and practical way. As we have proposed in correspondence with the zoning enforcement officers, if the board wishes, we would be happy to agree to reasonable conditions to provide continued comfort that our use remain consistent with our stated purpose. For example, by providing affidavits or other similar confirmations, or agreeing to covenants that the house will not be rented as a two-family unit, or that the floors of the home containing the existing kitchen and kitchenette will remain internally connected. At the end of the day, we're a young family trying to address a real problem we're having, and we're trying to do so in a manner that aligns with the permitted use of the property and the spirit of the regulations. We have been proactive in consulting with our neighbors and have spent considerable time and effort working with our design contractors to develop a proposed solution that is modest in scope, fits within the existing footprint of our home, and preserves the character of our neighborhood. We believe that granting this variance is fair, reasonable, and consistent with both the letter and the spirit of Norwalk zoning regulations. We take great pride not only in our home, but in our neighborhood, and we are happy to address any questions or concerns you may have and to work with you to ensure that our home remains a positive part of our Norwalk community. Thank you for your consideration. And I know I've submitted our plans to everybody in advance of this call, but to the extent it's helpful for the board and any concerned residents, I'll bring up on our screen a side-by-side just showing the, what is proposed versus what is existing. So on the left-hand side, this is the existing space. I don't know if can you guys see my cursor as well? So this is the existing, dining room space. This is already kind of a pre-existing wet bar with just a sink. And here's closet space. And we intend to basically wall off this space and put, again, a small kitchenette right there within the existing footprint of the home. And I'm happy to zoom in it with you here to see as well. But that concludes our planned words in support of our application. Happy to answer any questions.
I have a question that's, I guess, both for Tammy and for Mr. and Mrs. Gold. If the kitchenette was eliminated, would there be a need for a variance?
There would not, that they're seeking the variance to allow the kitchenette.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
Well, yeah, so I think there's two questions. If the kitchenette was eliminated, we wouldn't need the variance. And I do want to reiterate, I do think there's a question as to whether a variance is required under the statute itself.
Yeah, no, I heard that at the beginning. Yeah. Thanks.
Tammy, can you elaborate a little bit on how you're reading the zoning code?
Yeah.
I can
So
put it on the screen just so folks can follow along.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as we all know, in 2024, or well, prior to 2024, the complete zoning ultimately adopted by the Planning and Zoning Commission, all 500 pages.
We seem to be seems to be coming in and out, or at least where I am.
No, that's
Yeah.
happening for me too. No, she's like really frozen this time.
Yeah.
I think she was just agreeing with our position.
Too easy.
Did she
All right.
drop?
No, she's back, but
Okay.
you're muted.
But did I get crashed? What happened there?
You
Yeah,
kept
you like froze
freezing.
and then I think dropped from the call and then came back.
Okay, all right. Good thing I
Welcome
made
back.
Danielle the co-host, so the meeting didn't go down. Sorry about
Immediately
that.
end. That would have
All
been
right.
awkward.
So I was saying, I was recapping how the we used a selected a vendor to do the complete reg rewrite. It was implemented and adopted effective in actually February 19th of 2024. So 2 years now. As I was saying, I'm not sure if you heard that, but I don't think there was any intention to, try to shift. There was no conscious effort to remove the one from the kitchen. I think it's just, we thought it was self-evident because it just said kitchen without an S, and it's capitalized, and a capitalized word is also defined. Prior to the addition of, I think David, it was 2006 or 2007 where the old regulations added.
Yeah, the right-hand side was, so it didn't include the reference to one kitchen at all prior to 2027.
Yeah.
It maintained this reference basically up until 2024. And then in 2024, we now have the language on the left, which makes no reference to a number of kitchens. And focuses, again, in our view, instead on the use, designed or used as residential quarters for one family. So more of a test on the actual kind of intended use as opposed to a number, because, I wouldn't think we would think this means one sleeping room or one eating room or one, ultimately, I think the test is, I think it's clear that facilities qualifies each of those. Otherwise, the sentence doesn't grammatically make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a grammar expert for sure. But I think the intention of that is sanitation facilities is the key. Like that's those are the complementary. That term sanitation facilities is what is supposed to be joined together. So
if you took the word sanitation facilities out from the sentence, then it would say used exclusively for one family, which includes sleeping, kitchen, eating. That doesn't.
Yeah. Well, I think my point was essentially even before in 2007 under older regulations, there's still didn't allow additional kitchens. I mean, I could have, staff that has been there longer. They could attest to that. They could provide some. We kind of only explored this. I've met with David. I met with David on Tuesday. Was that right?
Uh,
Or no, yesterday. Yeah.
yesterday, yeah.
So, yeah, sorry about that. So that's when we went through some of the old code together. And then David pointed out that he didn't think this was grammatically correct. There's probably other instances in the code that, are also a little maybe awkward. But the intent has always been, even before that code that came into being in 2006, 2007, to add specifically kitchen to the dwelling unit, was to keep these single family homes single family, or the one unit, if it's a 3-unit multifamily building, we need a way to clarify and keep people from adding additional units, right? Essentially, that's what it's about. So
I do want to point out, right, the fact that the prior code, which is no longer in effect, refers to one kitchen expressly, and that the current code, which has replaced the prior code, and I don't think it's appropriate to interpret the current code by referencing the prior code that's no longer in effect. The fact that we've eliminated the express reference to one kitchen, to me, you can read into that intent that in fact there is no limit on the number of kitchens. And words do have meaning. This isn't just grammatical. I think it's the correct legal interpretation of the text.
And again,
Well, I think if you're going to argue that the elimination is the thing that describes intent, it's just the same as Tammy interpreting that they didn't mean to change it. Like, I think that requires the prior definition in either case. That's fine. I mean, my question, Tammy, is like, has this been flagged for the Planning and Zoning Commission that there might need a clarification here or an amendment to the zoning text?
No, actually not until under old code, we had an interpretation list that included, it was not codified, but it was policy, and it included a definition to allow a wet bar. That's the issue we have now, because we understand folks, it's a modern convenience to have a wet bar in one's home for entertaining or whatever. And so that's why we're adding this wet bar allowance, which
Right.
I anticipate will get approved. But yeah, there's not been an issue before.
I do think that it might be worth just amending or clarifying with the Planning and Zoning Commission the language there, whether from a grammatical standpoint or just, it isn't very clear. So in addition to the wet bar conversation, I think it's reasonable to flag.
Understood. I'll let them know that.
Yeah.
I've raised that concern.
And I mean, obviously, this is a part of our discussion, but I do want to take the step back. Ultimately, that's, one path. And I do think that as a practical matter, this has been a challenge for our family. And I do think that, we have been really painstaking about trying to make sure that our fix is modest, appropriate, limited. And again, I think this kind of pre-existing kitchen on the second floor issue is unique. I think I think we had something like 5 or 6 neighbors who all understood the issue, recognized the difficulties that we've been facing, and wrote in support of us. So anyways, I think I've spoken enough, but I wanted to just relay that as well.
Yeah, we did have those 5 letters that I forwarded.
As a variance stays, as you stated, stays with the property. I had a couple of questions about this property. Your property is entirely located, that floor that you're adding the kitchen to is within the AE flood zone, is that right?
Yes.
So this addition or this, renovation,
yeah,
isn't affecting your FEMA budget.
No.
But in the future,
Good.
And then all of that living space would become unusable.
What do you mean? Like if there was a flood that flooded the entirety of the space, is that you?
Sure, yeah. Or if you needed to, I don't know, do any kind of renovations that start to affect your FEMA flood budget, then you start to get into the, well, do I raise the house question? So
Yeah.
either you kind of abandon that lower level where you already have ample living space above, or you raise the house.
Yeah, none are I will assure you, Daniel, we've thought about basically every possible permutation to try to fix this problem. And I recognize we have a house that it could be, with a 1 in 100-year flood, like we could find ourselves in a problem. But we're planning as though our current house will be our current house, and we're trying to solve the issue that we're coming up against.
Okay. And there was no consideration of eliminating the upstairs kitchen
There
to
was.
resolve the issue.
There was, and again, just from a practical standpoint, it was not something that we could, pull off in our renovation. That's another, probably 2.5, 3x of the issue. And also, I again, just we have painstakingly tried to keep this as limited and modest as possible because of those issues that you raised previously.
I think those are my questions. Does anybody else on the board have
Yeah,
questions?
this is me. I'm just torn through with the hardship. I'm trying to figure the hardship. I'm trying to differentiate the hardship with practicality, with the second floor and the first floor, with the current zoning for the flooding. I get my hands around that. I do understand your thoughts. I understand your thoughts, Mr. Gold, what you're looking to have done. I'm just trying to get around the hardship.
Sure. I think that the hardship is the practical reality of having, carrying hot food, liquids, groceries, everything up and down stairs when you have a disjointed dining room and kitchen, and also like just actually like hosting family for the holiday. Like we have people who can't come over because we have to, do it upstairs. Again, there are in the modern times, kind of having access to kitchen and eating facilities is. I cannot speak for the owners. I mean, they certainly had the flexibility when they constructed the house to solve this problem. That flexibility went away due to a zoning change, not due to their intent. And so that hardship was created by virtue, like the fact that you cannot fix the difficulties that we're facing is something that was fixable when the house was constructed, no longer fixable in light of the zoning change.
You're looking for the option of both.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't necessarily set out to have a house that has 2 kitchens. There's one existing. It doesn't make sense to incur the cost to get rid of that kitchen. And it is still useful. But at the same time, if I ever want to host Thanksgiving for my family, if I want, my parents visit a lot and they're getting older and it's hard for them to go up and down the stairs and to carry in groceries and stuff. They try to be helpful because we have 2 kids and they like to see their grandkids. Like it is difficult. Dave just had ankle surgery. He's been on crutches for 2 weeks, which has been hard.
Tammy can attest for that.
That's true.
I'm scooting around
Maybe
like
that's
it's
even
been
harder
very
for me.
difficult.
But day-to-day life, like you don't always have the capacity or mobility to be going up and down stairs. That's one thing when it's to a bedroom or something, you can sleep on a couch, but it's another when it's your kitchen.
Well, and I'll say, I mean, we really don't
Neighbors,
want
so your neighbors, so your 4 neighbors are supportive. They have kitchens on the first floor, you're saying?
Yeah, everybody does. It's like a very peculiar thing about this property. It's something that really only when you live in it, for as long as we have, do you realize how inconvenient it is. The folks who lived here before us lived in quotes. I mean, they had multiple homes. I don't think anybody actually called this a home until us. And so we're the first people to kind of live with this for a few years and recognize that this is a real problem. And again, our neighbors that are all very supportive of this project have recognized, they've come over and said, this makes no sense. Like, what are you guys going to do about it? And again, I would love to not be here having this conversation. We've spent a lot of time, energy, cost on this problem. And the only reason we've done so is because it really is a problem. Like there's a real problem that
Do you see our position? Do you see our position though, Mr. Gold and Mrs. Gold?
Your position that this would be sort of precedential in some respect, is that right?
I'm just asking you, Mr.
It
Gold.
most certainly would, yes.
Yeah.
Well, it would, I would argue that there are, again, I think we first have before we get to the variance part, I still think we have a very strong argument that variance is not required. But in the scope of describing the variance itself, I do recognize that there could be precedential value. Tammy assured me that variances do not have precedential value. But notwithstanding that fact, I think there's a very narrow case here because we're talking about a second floor kitchen in a house constructed prior to that change in 2007, attesting that there's a hardship by not having a kitchen on the first floor. I mean, we're talking about a one of one. I mean, I can't think of another house in Norwalk that has that set of facts. That would, and if they did, I would argue.
Have you ever asked staff that? Have you ever asked staff that, Mr. Gold?
Have I asked staff that question? I don't know if I have, but is your answer, Steve, that there are a number of folks who have that condition?
That's staff.
Steve, can I
Yes.
say something? I'm the
I don't mean
designer.
to take over, Mr. Blank, Mrs. Blank. I don't mean to take over. I'm just asking Mr. Gold just a question. I don't want to have that be a part of our conversation, but if you want to ask a question separate, it's okay.
Can I say something?
Sure. Go ahead.
I think all of you should look at the existing conditions of the home. And when this all evolved, I started to look at it from a designer point of view and an objective point of view, where when you raise a family, and I think a lot of you are sitting in kitchen and family rooms, where you have your kitchen, you have your family room. In their home, the way it was designed, they have their kitchen on the second floor, they have a family room, and then they have bedrooms. So the home, oddly enough, wasn't designed much like many of our homes are, where you have the living room, you have the kitchen, you have a den, you have the family room. They have bedrooms. And then on the third floor, there's more bedrooms. So, and really it's one bedroom. It's the master upstairs and two bedrooms, which are taken up by the two kids down on the second floor, which are right off of the kitchen family room. So I feel that when you look at this, you need to look at the house as a whole, not just, okay, well, move the kitchen downstairs. The way it's first of all, that would exceed all of the costs that Danielle was raising when it comes to how much they can spend on the home. If you move a kitchen downstairs, you're talking about an awful lot of money. And if you're talking about raising a home, God forbid you have the 100-year flood, you've just spent all that money to bring it down. I think they're really trying to be cost effective. I think they're really trying to be conservative. But I also ask all of you, and I did submit the existing conditions, that you look at the layout of this home. And I think that they have a good argument with that. I just had to say that. So I would love if you could look at it.
But Sarah, am I wrong?
It's not part of our remit to look at the interior design of homes. It's what we are here for is to consider whether there is a hardship. And the things
Wouldn't the layout create a hardship?
The property itself creates the hardship if you don't, the configuration of the house is not necessarily.
I mean, all the parts make up the whole. So to me, you have to look. I understand that you're not being a designer. I get that. But I think that you have to look at the whole situation to understand why they're going in this direction.
Well, I think it's very clear what they'd like to do. The question is whether or not we are in a position to grant variance for something that they would like to do.
Okay.
I'm confused because one of the ideas here is to try and get a kitchen or a kitchenette near a dining room. You have a dining room and an eating area right off of the kitchen.
A breakfast room.
Upstairs, yeah.
Listen, pull out your pantry and you got a huge dining room.
No,
Pull out pantry's on the other side.
very small.
No, it's marked dining room.
what the
Wait,
no.
I don't know what you're looking at, but I don't.
I'm looking at your plan.
The,
It's the dining room.
the dining room is,
Get
it's
up,
literally a
put up
walkway.
the
It's
image.
7 feet wide
Yeah, put up the image.
by
Put
10
up the
feet
image.
long.
Tammy,
I
do
know.
you
Put up the
you have
image.
the existing plans, the second level?
I did submit them.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Put up the design.
So
Yeah,
I don't,
we did see them. They were submitted with the.
I can pull them up. Just sorry, give me a second.
Take
Yeah,
your
we're
time.
looking at the second floor
Sarah,
plan.
yeah, do you not have the plans? You could share your screen as well.
I can share.
I have them if I just have to pull them up.
I know. I got them.
Oh, David has them.
I can share them.
And I will say, doing a lot of these, we see a lot of people ask for variances for height to raise their homes to be out of the flood zone. So we see a lot of stairs up to kitchens on the second floor. That's pretty, run of the mill for us.
Okay. I guess my question, I mean, I'm getting the sense from the group that this is not something that folks are supportive of. And so I certainly don't want to waste folks' time. We are trying to solve a problem. It sounds like, I think we've made a compelling argument to why both the statute, the way it reads, is supportive of our not needing it. Really, kind of the single family purpose of the home is really the crux of what the regulations currently get at. I think, Danielle, you mentioning that opaque nature of the code and the need for an amendment underscores the fact that I think that that's a compelling argument. Now, again, I think putting that aside, I do think we've demonstrated the hardship. I do think we've demonstrated it relative to, I think it's a unique argument because it's relative to kind of the construction of the house and the code that was in place at the time. And I'm happy to bring this up, but it, maybe my read is off, but it seems like folks are not supportive of this, and I certainly don't want to waste folks' time if that's the case. Also, I don't know if Tammy, are any of those letters? I'm not sure if it's helpful at all for our application, but we did have a number of letters that were submitted in support of this.
Yeah, those will be referenced. They're still working on your presentation part of it once that
Got it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm kind of done with my questions. Does any other board member have anything else they want to?
I just want to, go ahead.
I have one question for Tammy. If we agreed to the interpretation of the regulations that the Golds see, do you think we would be therefore setting a precedent for multiple kitchens in houses across the city?
I think you have to separate the two. So basically, what I'm understanding is that the position is that they would prefer to appeal a staff determination or interpretation or decision. So that would have had to have been noticed. We didn't notice that. We noticed it as a variant sought of the definition of dwelling unit, which they were aware of. I'm not sure. I mean, David and I met again. I was trying to provide all the information I could. So, that's how we don't try to.
I personally don't agree with the Gold's reading of the language, but I wanted to clarify that if as a variance was granted based on that, would that not open us?
So I should clarify and say statute doesn't recognize granting a variance based on an interpretation of code. It would be, that's up to staff or either the Planning and Zoning Commission to modify. I think what you would be looking at through this lens is granting the variance based upon hardship. So or they would have to, I'd have to make a new determination, and they could then follow up with an appeal.
We've done staff determinations before, right? So would that end up then back in this court?
Right. So if it was an appeal, then that would become policy then. Yeah. And then, yeah. So,
if I may,
are we still waiting for the plans?
Here, I've got them. I was waiting for you to talk.
Okay. I was like, I'm like, they're waiting for me to pull these up.
I've got it. I just have to figure out how to share with you.
Okay.
Share. Here we go. Screen one. Let's see. Will it let me do screen one, or do I have to go to screen two? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Which one? Do you see the plan?
Yes.
Okay. So, I'm sorry, everybody's small now, so I can't refer to you by name. But I think what you were saying, this small space here, which exits to an outdoor deck, is 5 feet, 8 feet wide, by 11.5. And I think you were saying to remove this pantry. Well, to fit a dining room here, I understand that it's labeled dining room, but I accept where you're coming from, and I know you don't want to get into the design, but when you're talking about a family, an extended family on holidays, as off the kitchen, um, with all the rooms downstairs and the size of the rooms and the entertaining that they do, this is it is a small space. And I know you don't want to kind of listen to that, and I accept that, but I want to point out that it's also off of where the oven is, the refrigerator. Any this shouldn't be called a dining room. It really is a little vestibule that goes out to a terrace, down to the stairs and down to the pool. So I don't know who wrote this way back when, but it's there.
We have like a 2x2 round craft table for our daughter there that has
It's small.
four seats, and it fits there. And if we were to remove the pantry, we would need to
Where do we put our food?
we would need to figure out where to put the pantry again. Which
Well,
is
aren't you trying to move it downstairs?
well, we would if there
The
was.
suggestion was that we put the dining room here, so we're responding.
We wouldn't put it downstairs if there was no kitchen downstairs.
Yeah.
Or kitchenette downstairs. I mean, that's that.
You can see that these are bedrooms. It's really an interesting house, that they put a kitchen, the great room, and the bedrooms. I don't know.
I promise this has been a real headache for us. I promise that this is again, I encourage you to read into the record what our neighbors are saying about it. It's unique, it's unusual. I do think it has been a true hardship for us and will continue to be. I think probably the only reason it hasn't come up previously in this house is, like I said, the prior owners had 3-4 homes and this was not a home. Yeah, so anyways, for what it's for.
Okay. Any other members of the board?
Not for me.
Okay. With that, we'll jump into the public comments. So we did have a bunch of letters, and if Ben, you want to kind of read and summarize as you go, you can state everyone and their address and their kind of position. They're all letters of support.
Correct. Yeah, they're all letters of support, so I'm not going to read them verbatim, but I will go through who all submitted letters of support. Jean Kaiser from 6 Shorehaven. Julie Dizon from 41 Pine Hill. Greg Altschuler and Mael Gavitt from 9 Shorehaven. Hal and Betsy Kravitz from 5 Shorehaven. And John and Allison Stockel from 8 Shorehaven. All in support.
Okay, thanks, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
We'll open it up for anyone that's attending this meeting and wants to speak in favor of the application. Please go ahead and raise your hand.
Okay, so now I have a phone call in. So if you're on the phone and you wish to speak, you press *9 to raise your hand and then *6 to unmute. No raised hands.
Okay. We'll open it up for anybody that wants to speak in opposition to this application. Go ahead and raise your hand.
No raised hands.
Okay. With that, we'll go ahead and close this item and move on to the last item on our agenda. Thank you, Gold family.
Thank you.
All right. Last item on the agenda tonight is number 26-0219-03, Mark Barrett and Jillian Milak. Apologies if I butchered that one.
All right. Variance of table 4.3.1-C for rear setback, 15 feet required, 9.4 existing and proposed. For proposed alterations and additions which include connecting an existing accessory building, detached garage, to the existing principal building, single-family residence in the CD1S zone. Property located at 10 Winthrop Avenue, District 5, Block 5, Lot 125. Request. Applicant seeks a setback variance to allow expansion of an existing detached non-conforming garage and addition of living space above that garage with a proposed two-story addition to connect the garage to the existing home. Background. This single-family home was constructed in 1928. In 2007, a master bathroom was installed. In 2013, the basement was partially finished. Most recently, in 2018, the kitchen was renovated. Analysis and findings. The home is located on a quarter lot. The principal frontage is along Winthrop Avenue and the secondary frontage along Melbourne Road. The rear property line is opposite Winthrop Avenue. The accessory structures require a 5-foot setback. However, by connecting the accessory structure to the principal building, the required rear setback of 15 feet for principal building is then applicable. The older survey dated March 21st, 2000 indicates the existing garage is 9.4 feet from the rear property line. The recent survey dated June 24th, 2026 indicates the garage is 6.7 feet from the rear property line. If the variance request is granted, it should be stated for the record that this is for a proposed 6.7 feet rear setback instead of the 9.4 setback that was advertised in the legal notice. While this is a corner lot, the two frontage setback requirements do not present a challenge to the proposal. The existing accessory structure is in a conforming location. The problem arises by connecting the two existing structures, thereby creating a non-conforming rear setback. It seems a rear addition with integral garage could be proposed that would meet the 15-foot required setback. As such, staff believes that this is a self-created hardship stemming from the desire to maintain and expand the existing garage footprint.
Thanks, Ben. Do we have the applicant or someone representing the applicant that wants to make the case?
We are the applicant and we have a representative, yes. Eric.
Nope. This is Eric Jacobson. I'm the architect for the Barretts, and I'll be presenting the case. So good evening. I just want to let you know that the other window with my name has my assistant, Victor. He'll be sharing. So if he could be given the opportunity to share drawings and photos, that'd be great. I guess he automatically does. Anyway, I'll start with the survey. And Victor, if you could bring up the survey, the new one that was done. We have a survey from 2000, which was mentioned in the memorandum, which showed a 9.4 setback. That's the original one. That's the one from. This is the one from just last month. So Victor's zooming in a little bit. So you see the existing one-story frame garage. That's the area of concern right there. That building, that structure is detached. It is 18 feet by 18 feet approximately square. It does have 2 garage doors on it. It's very tight. And I think most would agree that a garage that's 18 feet square would not house a contemporary vehicle in it very well. It is possible to squeeze it in, but it's nearly impossible to get in and out and move around and park it comfortably. So our proposal is to take that garage, add a second story, and expand it to make it a 21 feet by 21 foot garage, and then have an 11-foot wide breezeway with a staircase connecting the main structure to our new enlarged garage. Above that garage space would be a playroom, a bathroom, and a small little work area. So the 6.7 feet that you see there between the existing structure and that rear property line was initially, we thought it was 9.4 feet, and the legal notice went out stating that we were just extending the existing nonconformity of 9.4 feet. My surveyor, even though the survey is dated January 26th. We actually got it on February 10th. That's when he actually published it. He did the field work on the 26th. He had to go back a second time because the boundaries and the setbacks weren't all lining up. And by the time he actually determined that the first survey was wrong, we had already sent out the notices. So the board will have to decide if those notices are acceptable. So a bit about the hardship here. This lot does have topographic spot points on it. From the top of the property, which is at the top of Melbourne Road, you'll see there's a curve there of 86.02 feet. By the time you go down to the bottom property, it drops 8 feet to 78.36. So it's a sloping property. And between the driveway and the patio is a 32-inch height difference. So one of the staff notes said that this was a self-created, which it is, condition, but in order to maintain the 15-foot setback on the rear line, which is currently at 6.7, we would have to take that garage, and we'd only have 24 feet between the property line and the house to fit the garage in, which is possible. But because of the site configuration, the sloping site, it would be a very disruptive and a very difficult and expensive process to do it. And frankly, it just wouldn't be possible or feasible in order to put the garage, eliminate the breezeway, and connect the garage where it is back to the house, which would maintain the 15-foot setback. So the other thing that we're doing with our garage now, Victor, if you could show the proposed front elevation. Now we call it the front elevation. This is the side facing Melbourne. So just keep that one up. You'll see there that on the front, what's labeled now as the right elevation, excuse me. The right side of that elevation is currently about 9 feet off grade. We're proposing to extend it vertically another 7 feet for the second story, for a total height from grade to the fascia line of 16 feet. And then we would slope the roof away, hopefully minimizing the effect to the person up the hill on Melbourne. We also have some photos. I'd like to show you some photos of what the current situation looks like now. And Victor, if you could just show some of the photos we have. That's the front of the house from Winthrop, very stately home from 1928. Show the next photo if you could. Scroll on down. That is the garage that we're proposing to extend vertically and come towards the front 3 feet, the nonconformity. There's a fence there, it's landscaped, and the hill keeps going up to the neighboring house up the street. So keep going down, Victor, if you could. That's the back of the property, and you can see the house that's up the hill. Keep going down. Now, this is the area from the street. You'll see that's the structure. We like to add a second story to it and then connect it in between. All right, and one more photo showing, keep on going, Victor, keep on going. Is that it? Okay, that's all we have. So with that, I'd like to open it up to the board and see if you have any questions.
Yeah, I've got a question to start out with. Is this variant still needed if you just don't connect the structures? Like, could you build the new, space on top of the garage, but if the breezeway is not there, does this whole thing go away basically?
I'll leave that up to Tammy, but I believe it would be where it still would be an accessory structure, but with living space above it.
So, as a detached structure, we allow, or any non-conforming structure, we allow vertical expansion, but it would have to meet the height requirement and no greater than 1.5 stories. They're proposing, I forget, it was like a rec room there, which, we would allow like two paths to that, either, and that's provided it could meet height and story, not present is greater than a half story on top of the existing garage, but there's potential path to do an ADU if that's something they wanted to explore, but that when they're detached is part of a site plan review, which is a commission application. Or if it's, oftentimes people will just finish their upper story, not for habitation, but for like I don't know, golf simulator or gym or things like that. So, possible. So
Tammy, with that detached ADU, how's the parking currently and how would it be proposed?
yeah, I'm not sure, that wasn't anything that we
Presented to you.
evaluated.
Okay.
So, they would need to provide an additional space. I'm not sure if there's any, maybe perhaps between where the kind of patio is now, they could create another one or.
Yeah, because I see no parking based on what I'm image in front of me. I don't see the.
Yeah, we do allow, there's a path to do a very limited space within the front setback. So that's possible if that's something they want to explore. But at this point.
Okay, just making
Garage
sure.
space is staying garage space in this proposal.
Right, correct. Yeah. It's a 2-car garage, and they currently park 4 cars. It's possible to park 4. Legally, you could probably just make the case that there are 2 parking spots in front of the garage and 2 parking spots, of course, within the garage.
So just to clarify, that question about parking would only be if you were changing the use and adding an accessory dwelling unit. That's what we were referencing.
Current proposal, the space above the garage would be counted as like that's 2 stories. That's not 1.5. That's 2. Correct?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not just as simple as cut out the breezeway and we're good. You'd have to also cut down on what's being done above the garage to make
Right.
that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So it's 420 square feet, correct, Tammy and Ben? The square footage above is 420 square feet, 21 by 21 proposal, correct?
That's correct.
That sounds right. Yeah.
And, I guess gaming out the as of right scenario, you have to move the garage basically right up against the existing house.
That is correct. We have 39 feet. We took off the 15-foot setback. We'd have 24 feet and a few inches left, which would require major site work because of the sloping.
Right, but it's fill, not excavation.
It would,
right?
yes.
Yeah. And then you have like a misaligned,
well,
you kind of still have your misaligned level problem, right?
Correct, yes.
So, Mr. Jacobson, is that the earlier on you referenced a solution that I believe you did. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I think what I understood was a solution that wouldn't require a variance, but one of the reasons against that solution was the cost. Is that what we're discussing here?
Well, I know the board doesn't necessarily hold cost as a determining factor, but there would be a considerable amount of site work to make it happen. So yeah, it would be a very disruptive and
yeah, sure. No, I didn't mean that to be the main point of my question, the cost. I wasn't going down that route, but just to make sure that I understood that what Danielle's talking about, moving it over, is that what you were also talking about that would get rid of the need for variance?
Yes, that's what I referenced earlier. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
And Tammy, is there a separation required between a principal and an accessory structure?
So you mean if they kept them separate? I'm not sure I understood the question.
Say they wanted to do an addition on the back of the house that doesn't go over the garage. How close can they get?
That'd be a building code question.
Right.
I don't have the answer to that. So
I mean, yeah, I don't know how much they have.
It's 10 feet because they want to maintain a distance to get an emergency vehicle through. This case between the powder room bump out, you'll see there in that photograph, and the accessory and the garage, detached garage, is 10 feet 6 inches. That's what we currently have now.
Right. I mean, I assume the goal of this addition, right, is to get that extra living space. That's
That's
That
correct.
is correct.
That's correct.
Okay. Those are all my questions. Anybody else?
None from me.
I'm good.
Okay. With that, let's move on to the public comment. Do we have any letters in favor of this application, Tammy, or opposed, I suppose?
I received an email at 6:38. I did forward it to each of you. I'm not sure if you even saw it in your inbox. Ben, did you get it?
6:38
I saw it, yes.
this morning.
No, this evening.
This
Right
evening.
under the
Oh,
wire.
okay.
I
Okay,
think-
then maybe I didn't see that.
Wait, I didn't see it either.
I don't
6:51.
think
Yeah, I got 650 from Anthony Pavia.
I don't have that.
Okay. I'm sorry
See it
about that.
either.
I think I maybe sent it to, you know how we've got Norwalk emails and yeah, I tried to get it out quickly so I can
Okay.
I can read it at the appropriate time.
perfect.
Now's good. Keith,
That's
take it
the
away.
appropriate time, okay. Hi, Tammy. I reside at 34 Buckingham Place, Norwalk, Connecticut 06851, and would like to provide this comment to the ZBA application being considered this evening for 10 Winthrop Avenue. Good evening, members of the commission. My name is Anthea Pavia, and I reside at 34 Buckingham Place. I'm here tonight to speak in opposition to the variance application. The applicant is seeking to replace an existing 18 by 18 foot single-story freestanding garage with a larger two-story attached structure. To justify this, the narrative claims that the current garage cannot accommodate 2 cars. However, I own a home just 2 blocks away with a garage of the exact same dimensions, 18 by 18, and I can confirm that it fits 2 vehicles. In Norwalk, a zoning variance is intended to be a safety valve for the code. Its purpose is to provide relief only when the strict application of regulations causes an unusual hardship due to the unique physical characteristics of the land, such as steep slopes, irregular shapes, or wetlands. Based on the criteria for granting a variance in Norwalk, this application fails for 2 reasons. The hardship is not unique to the property. This neighborhood consists of single-family homes on small, dense tracts of land. The physical constraints here are common to all of us, not unique to this specific lot. The hardship is self-created. If a homeowner desires a 2-car garage, but the property lacks the necessary setbacks to build one, that is a matter of personal preference, not a legal hardship. Furthermore, the applicants claim that this project will have a, quotes, limited impact is inaccurate. They are proposing to replace a modest single-story structure with a 2-story building featuring finished living space, as well as converting an existing patio into additional finished living area. This significantly increases the density and massing on a lot where setbacks are already tight. 2 more paragraphs. We have recently seen other properties on Winthrop Avenue add structures that essentially amount to a second house on a single lot. If variances are granted without strict adherence to the rules, the protections of our zoning code lose all effectiveness. Finally, I must note the irony of this request. During Norwalk's recent zoning rewrite, there was significant local opposition to increased density and ADUs. The owner of this property was among those who prominently displayed signs opposing such density. It is disappointing to see an attempt to bypass the very rules they once championed for the sake of their own expansion. This is getting to be a bit editorial. Variances should be granted only after careful discernment and in very limited circumstances. I respectfully ask the commission to deny this application.
Thanks, Keith.
Yeah.
Okay. With that, we'll open it up to anyone that's attending the meeting. If you'd like to speak in favor of the application, please raise your hand. Nope.
No
Okay.
raised hands.
If you'd like to speak in opposition of this application, please raise your hand now.
No raised hands.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. We have a raised hand. Okay, this is actually the writer, I believe, here, the author of the. All right. Okay, you can unmute. Let's see. Okay, Anthony, you should be able. You need to unmute yourself. You're allowed to unmute.
Nope. Eric,
There you
can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Great. Thanks, Keith, for reading it. I don't want to take any more of the commission's time. Thank you for reading my letter into the record, and I just wanted it noted that I was attending the meeting.
Okay. Thank you. All right. With that, we'll give Mr. Jacobson or Mr. Barrett an opportunity to speak in rebuttal.
I'm good.
Okay.
I mean, we would just like the board to consider the fact that, you know, expanding the garage without connecting it is really not practical for us. Just we have a 7-year-old and a 1.5-year-old growing family. And we feel that this expansion would, you know, make this a forever home for us. And, you know, no exterior entrance into the home. It's purely living space from my kitchen up above the garage. It will give my wife a place to work in a home office and additional play space for my children. You know, that's really what this is about, nothing more. And we appreciate your time.
Thank you. All right. We'll close that and move into the board deliberations. All right. Let's go in reverse order as usual.
I can start.
Yeah, go for it.
I feel like on this one, there is like some version of this that we would like find passable, but I think it is a little bit different than exactly what we saw today. I don't know if everyone else feels the same.
Yeah, I would agree
I did
with you,
find myself
Ben.
convinced by the letter that this is probably a pretty common condition throughout that neighborhood. I think there's ways that you can do this as of right.
Yeah,
Well,
actually, go ahead, Anthony. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Steve.
No, you go ahead, Anthony. Go ahead.
I mean, it's an 18 by 18 garage, and that was on the application as being the hardship. And there could be expansion of the garage without a variance. You
I
know,
agree with you, Anthony, on that. I actually like the expansion to 21 by 21. I'm good with it.
I mean, as I mentioned, I think that the real goal of the addition, right, is to get the extra living space above it. And the problem is, how do you get there? You don't want to go outside. But once you connect the buildings, you do make a self-created hardship. So
Yeah.
So I'm with Ben. I think there may be a way to do this as of right, but it's not what's presented here. And for me, this has not met the hardship requirement.
Okay. I mean, I think with that we could do deny without prejudice, right?
Kind of where I'm at. Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Same.
Okay.
Right.
Do you want to make the motion, Ben?
I will make a motion to deny without
Hey, Ben,
prejudice.
sorry, but I'm wondering, should we suggest a continuation so that they could come back and present something additional to planning?
I guess we could do that, couldn't we?
I think it'd be a different
Is
department though, right, Ben? And Danielle, it'd be a different
question
board,
to
no?
Tammy, what's the meaningful difference to deny without prejudice versus a continuation?
So if we continue to next month, I'm not sure they'd have enough time to, I think we should poll them and ask them if they could prevent, denying without prejudice means there's no time limit on reapplying. They would save themselves a $260 fee to reapply for the fee for the ZBA application. And they'd have to renotice the neighbors. That would be the other, if you deny without prejudice. If you continue, then they need to keep their signs up and we don't have to re-advertise. This would potentially be, this kind of goes into that, our original concern about it was the older survey had it a larger setback to the rear property line. This one show, so there may be some benefit in doing that to begin with. So I think they would probably, we can ask them, but I think they'd probably be willing to continue.
I'd just like to comment. Well, I brought that up because I forget, I've been on this board for about 10 or 12 years, and it has often seemed like a good option to not have to go through other things. But I'm mindful of what one of my colleagues said, which was you might end up putting a self-imposed time constraint on yourselves in order not, and the offset to that would be not having paid the $260. So apologize if I'm being confusing. I'm just not sure that my interruption was necessarily the right one.
Well, no, and I was just, meaningfully to everybody, to us, to them, like what is, what's the difference? So they have to re-notify if we deny. Okay.
Right.
Question to the applicant then. Do you have a preference? I think our general sense is that this deserves another bite at the apple, but
well, I would recommend to the Barretts that we go ahead and go and continue, so we can be on the agenda next month, and we come back with a revised plan. As long as we can meet the deadlines.
If we do a revised plan that does not need a variance, there's no need to waste anybody's time again.
Correct.
So we can still come up with a plan that fits within our property lines, and we don't have to seek a variance for, and we don't need this again.
But as a fallback position, we would appreciate the continuance, and we'll consider whether we want to submit the application for that or not.
Okay. That sounds good.
Very good.
Okay.
Then we gotta make a motion to continue the application, right?
Hey,
The motion to
I'm not
continue,
doing this again. I'm not-
Mr. and Mrs. Barrett, I make the motion to continue, board, if I may.
All right. Do we have a
I'll
second?
second.
All right. All in favor of continuation? Raise your
Aye.
hands.
Aye.
That's unanimous. All right. Shorehaven, right?
Yeah. This is an interesting one. I found myself convinced by the applicant's reading of the regulation, to be honest. I didn't see anywhere in that sentence where kitchen is treated any differently than the other things listed, bedrooms, bathrooms, what have you. And I think that, yeah, as the regulations are written, unless there's something else in the zoning regulations that's, govern how many kitchens you can have in a building or a dwelling unit, I'm not sure this even should be in front of us.
Before us. Yeah.
I'm
I
having
mean,
difficulties with the hardship. I'm
Me
not
too.
seeing it.
I don't see a hardship or practical difficulty here, but I found the argument about the way the regulation was written interesting, and think that deserves look at by, that's not for this board to decide.
I would
Yeah.
agree with everything that's just been said, and if it's not for this board to decide, then we shouldn't be granting a variance. So then I guess we would look to staff for guidance to the homeowners as to what their next step should be. Or maybe it's not up to us, maybe we just have to vote.
I mean, yeah, I think in that case, we would vote to deny the variance application as submitted. And then, the Golds can, Tammy, is that right? They would then work with you guys to figure out what their next steps are.
I think what I'm understanding is that they would then seek to appeal. So I could issue another determination so that they would have the appeal window is 15 days from a staff determination or decision, but I could I could do that. I could,
And then
formally.
does the appeal come back to us?
Then it comes back to you, but then you're looking at it. So then it's been noticed as an appeal. Staff would be prepared with rebuttal, or to defend the position of staff rather than looking at this through the lens of the hardship test.
Okay. And Planning and Zoning Commission that actually writes the regulation. I mean, obviously, I know that was like out to a consultant that did the actual writing, but
Right.
they vote on it and they ultimately are accountable for its implementation and its amendments.
Yeah, I would certainly flag this now. Again, this is not, I probably didn't do a very good job of explaining the issue that has come up for just allowing even a wet bar. Because right now there's no path to even have a wet bar at all. We have to tell people, no, you can't have a wet bar. So that's why we're proposing adding this in. And I know the Golds, I believe, communicated with the director, Steve Kleppen, and I believe he's the one who said your recourse is to seek a variance in this case. So,
I think with the kitchenette and wet bar stove is the key word. It's not as descriptive as Ben mentioned earlier, but stove is quite a leading factor. Being a fire commissioner for the town, I think the word stove kind of pushes weight when it comes to a kitchenette and wet bar.
So if there's an appeal of staff determination, it comes back to ZBA or it goes to
Correct.
P&Z?
No,
ZBA.
it comes to you. Yeah, but as an appeal, noticed as an appeal, and then staff would have a defense, for the regulatory language.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I've seen many sinks in the past when it comes to doing add-ons, but when it comes to a stove, I think that's very, very important for us to understand the prominence of a stove in the city.
I think the concern, right, is like it could be used in the future as pretty easily as an extra unit. I understand that this is not the Gold's intention, but that's why the regulations, I believe, are written the way they are written.
I see that.
Are we allowed to just?
Sorry, no, not at this time. There's no more.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say, if you want to put a deed on us.
Sorry.
Okay, then that would be something I would.
So Danielle, are you ready to ask for a motion?
Sure, go for it,
Yes.
Keith.
Sorry, before we do that, I guess to kick this sequence off that we've just talked about would start with us like denying it based on like we don't see a hardship or whatever it is that we decide to put in there. Yeah, okay. I think like high level, I see where they're coming from, I see what they're trying to do. I think it's reasonable, to be honest. But I'm with the rest of you that I don't see this as a hardship. I don't really see a compelling case there. And so if it was clear in the regs of like you can only have one kitchen, I'd say open and shut case, deny. But
Ben, what you're saying, Ben, is take off the second floor kitchen to keep the first floor kitchen?
Well, I'm like that would be one way that you could do it as of right, assuming that the correct interpretation of the regs is only one kitchen is allowed. But again, to come back to my original point, my reading is that the regs don't restrict that. You could have multiple.
So good question, Danielle, if you mind, Madam Chair. Could we say the first floor kitchen, but not the second floor kitchen?
They can only have one. They can choose where they want it, right?
And that's my question. Staff, if we were to say the first floor kitchen, but not the second floor kitchen, would that be something that would make sense to this?
Well, I think they.
What would we be saying about one or the other?
I think we approve their plans. We grant variances as they present them. So I don't think we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not for us to do that.
Yeah.
No.
Just saving 3 months.
All right. So does someone want to make a motion to deny the variance application?
I'll
So
make the
I'll-
motion.
Go ahead, yeah.
I'll make the motion to deny the variance.
Okay. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All
I guess
opposed.
this is funky, but
I know, because it's
Sure.
like, then I hate that way.
It's yes to deny, yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
no. That's not even what I'm hung up on. I'm just hung up on the fact that like I feel like we shouldn't be taking a vote, but we have to vote because we're here. So, we've done it.
So
and
Ben,
now,
what you're saying is make a continuous then instead of making a vote, a continuous?
no, but
to-
continuing doesn't get us anywhere. It just kind of leaves us
Well, but
stuck in neutral.
also they would need to change the premise of the application, which I
Yeah,
think
exactly.
Tammy's advising us as
Yeah.
a new application.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
good.
reckon that's where it'll head next.
Okay.
Were you allowed to ask a question on what that means? I don't know what that means.
We can talk about that later, David. Just reach out to
okay.
me tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. And item number 1. Was it 3?
3 Macintosh.
3
Macintosh.
Macintosh Road.
Yeah. I didn't have any issues with this one, to be honest. I think the ADA reasonable accommodation thing is pretty compelling.
I agree with that.
I also like that they do have room in the front to park, and it's a minor variation.
Yeah, I mean that driveway is massive. You could put 4 cars just on the driveway, no problem.
Also, it's on a dead-end street. When I was there was no cars going back and forth.
Yeah, my only concern is the second floor kitchen area. Having a fully operating downstairs kitchenette with his limitations, just wanted to be cognizant of the second floor usage for the dwelling. That's my only concern. Shed some light on that, Tammy, that'd be good. If not, I'll just go with it.
I agree with you that the future seems to present some problems perhaps for this property. But that wasn't proposed today.
I think it's all
Yeah.
hypothetical until it's in front of us.
If
Right.
there'd been an easy way to point the applicant in the direction of trying to solve future problems as opposed to this one, I'm sure we all would have raised it. I didn't see one.
The good news is with the
That's
fire
fine.
department, there's one door. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing I feel comfortable with. Just one door is not labeled differently. If rescue units go to the dwelling, they're going through one door. So that's my only saving grace to this is the entry. It's you can connect upstairs and downstairs with one door.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I'll go on record and say that P&Z ought to loosen the setback requirements for parking. 30 feet is a lot. That driveway can more than handle it. I don't even think there should be a variance, but the regs are what the regs are.
I mean,
I'll make a
feelings on the
motion to approve if
kitchens,
there's
too.
no other.
Wait, did we get a
Uh,
motion?
I'll
Yeah.
second the motion to
I made a
approve.
motion to approve.
Thank you.
And Keith seconded.
all right. All
Thank
in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Aye. All right. That's everybody.
great job.
All right. Now the really fun housekeeping stuff. Minutes? Did everybody read
Yes.
them?
I did.
Um,
I just want to say thank you for your time. I'm going to sign off if that's okay.
sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any issues, revisions? No?
No.
Not for me.
Anyone want to make a motion to approve those?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor to approve the minutes?
Aye.
That's
Aye.
everybody.
Yeah.
And Tammy, you sent me an email about training. Yeah? It was
I
a bit
did?
ago. Yeah, it was like somewhere in the middle between the two meetings.
Hmm.
What did it say?
Says Public
Oh,
Act 2129, effective June 10th, requires all members of Planning and Zoning Commission, Board of Appeals to complete 4 hours training every 4 years or once per term.
you're CC'd
Uh,
as the chair. It's just
yeah.
an advisory to let you know that we reported to that the director reported to the council.
Okay. Got
All
it.
right. Yeah.
So we're all good on training.
Yeah, we'll let you, yeah, we'll when our time comes around again, we'll advise everybody of any future requirements.
Okay. And then I did see, not too long ago, you sent out that there was training. If there's training opportunities that become available, I think just keep us in the loop because
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
sometimes it comes up and then, it's like all day and you can't make that day.
Yeah. Well, I think, remember, Corporation Council did it last spring. I think there is a
Yeah.
goal to try to do that again. So,
Okay. All right, great.
Okay.
With all that, a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Good night,
Thanks,
everybody.
everybody.
thanks.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.